Hello everyone, this is part 13 of What If Naruto Leaves Konoha and Awakens Lava and Boil release, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Azu Island. Azugako. Naruto walked through the Genjutsu barrier with ease. The large group of refugees slowly flowed through behind him, dumbstruck that they had just arrived in the village. One moment they had been following Naruto and the next he disappears into thin air with the forest. Mei came up behind him and widened her eyes at the splendor of their new home. This was the first time she had been there since her birth. Combined with Naruto's description, the place was grander than she could imagine. Naruto looked at her and smiled, glad that she was so happy about their new home as he was. He turned around and addressed the growing crowd that stayed right at the gate of the village, afraid to walk any farther into the unknown place. By seeing their new leader in front of them smile, they all began to smile with confidence as well. We all have had quite a journey to get here. There has been heartache, loss, and insurmountable grief over this exodus. Naruto looked down, tears shimmering in his eyes over those they had lost to get there, countless Kiri shinobis because of them. With their leader crying, the others began to feel tears well up in their own eyes. As the people began to cry for those lost, Naruto wiped away his and his fiance's tears. A smile had come over his face. But we now see the fruits of their Through their loss and our famous determination and strength, the Uzumaki are united again under one banner. The Hyo and Ranmaru have even graced us with their presence, further strengthening us. With my fellow shinobi here, we will forge a better tomorrow, one that will allow us to have peace for all. The people looked up at the Azukage as he made the speech, feeling confidence and pride rush through them at his words. The crowd began to cheer and applaud Naruto as he turned around and began to lead the civilians and shinobi through the main street of Azugako. The people began to disperse as they entered the empty buildings and chose their rooms. Houses and apartments alike were soon filled without much fuss at all. Little had changed since Naruto's last visit. All the buildings were still in their spiral shape that extended to the heavens and were in the vibrant colors of black, red, and orange. Mei and Naruto watched the process with the Kiri shinobi beside them. They were all happy to see that the people were getting well acquainted with their surroundings. Well, now what should we do? Naruto asked Mei. He wasn't really sure what to do in situations like this. Mei brought a finger up to her chin and stared at the sky in thought as everyone waited for her answer. Our people left many of their belongings behind. We should make an effort to get them back as soon as possible. Naruto and I also have some things we should probably pick up from our estate. But how do we get in and out of Kiri quickly? The Kiri shinobi looked to one another in confusion because they had no answer to give her. Naruto merely smirked. He brought up a single hand sign and yelled out his signature jutsu. Multi-shadow clone. Hundreds of Naruto clones appeared on the roofs surrounding the area and looked down at the group of ninja. Everyone looked around in amazement at the number of clones that Naruto had produced. The boy himself had a big smirk on his face. Alright boys, looks like you are the movers for today. Go back to Kiri and get everyone's belongings the best you can, check their estates. Don't forget to bring my sword either. A resounding, yes sir, was heard from the clones as they flashed out of sight with the Haration. I almost forgot you could do that, Naru-koi, good thing you learned it. Now, I believe we all should retire to our homes and wait for the clones to arrive. The ninja soon dispersed, leaving the Uzumaki alone. Mei hooked an arm around Naruto's and pressed herself against him lovingly. Take me home, Koi. Naruto looked to her smiling face and smirked, switching their places in a flash where Mei was now in his arms being held like a bride. He took off straight for the Uzumaki compound where a large convoy of Uzumaki was still getting acquainted to living in. Naruto. Mei his C playfully for just picking her up like that, but let it slide for the romance of the action. He merely kept smiling as he passed the walls that surrounded the large compound with a single gate for entry. Many Uzumaki stopped in their unpacking and exploration to bow to the couple as they passed through the residential section of the compound. The lovers waved to everyone as they passed by. They soon arrived at the main house, the single two-story building with an oriental style to its roofing shape. The colors of it made both of them shiver in delight. The roof tiles were red and black while the walls were a bright orange in color. The Uzumaki swirl adorned the front of the house on an blank side of the wall. The crest of the clan hung proudly to where anyone could see it from within the compound. The couple entered to be greeted with a large welcoming area similar to the Terumi estates. The walls were a bright red and orange with numerous Uzumaki heirlooms covering the walls, and they could see 3 doors along with a staircase to the second floor. Naruto set Mei down and began to explore the house with her, to get acquainted with their new home. A half an hour later, Naruto had explored almost every room in the estate. There was a kitchen, dining room, living room, and dojo on the first floor, and that excluded the outside grounds within the inner compound. All the walls were vibrant colors of red, orange, and black with numerous Uzumaki influences spread across the objects and heirlooms in the rooms. Upstairs was where he stood now. So far he had found a bathroom and at least 3 bedrooms, none of which had stood out to him as to be the clan head's room. He had 2 rooms left, so he decided to head towards the one that looked like it could be a bedroom. The door was heavily ornamented, an Uzumaki swirl adorned it, and an old writing Naruto couldn't begin to translate had a single word printed above the symbol. Walking within the new area, Naruto was astounded to find what must have been the clan head bedroom. Entering the large bed chambers, Naruto was astounded by the sheer space that was held there. The bed was located in the center of the room. The 4 bedposts held together a white curtain that could hide the occupants from the morning rays of sunlight. The sheets were black while the pillows were a deep crimson, the colors meshing perfectly. Looks like silk and fur as well, Naruto thought as he touched the soft sheets, already drooling over sleeping in such a bed like this. He continued to explore around the room, finding more spots of interest. The room had a bathroom and a large closet, stocked full with old Uzumaki uniforms. Naruto looked inside the closet and found both male and female outfits, so he took one out for himself to wear. His Kiri Junin gear was wrecked from the fight in Iron and the rebellion in Kiri, and he wanted to get out of it as soon as possible. The new outfit was similar to his child outfit, except it was larger and fitted more sensibly. The shirt was long-sleeved and black with the Azu symbol on the back where his shoulder blades were. The pants were standard black shinobi pants that reached to his ankles, where he kept his old black leggings and sandals. Naruto slowly took off his Kiri headband, somewhat hesitating at the action. He had become so attached to the thing, but yet even he knew that it was time to let it go, so he moved back into the main room and placed the headband within his new desk. He headed back into the closet and reached further in to find a box full of Azu headbands, all with the standard Azu color schemes. Orange, red, and black. Naruto chose the red cloth and tied the new forehead protector proudly on his head. He adjusted it in the mirror before turning back to the closet door to leave. That was when he caught sight of them. Naruto quickly turned his head around to see if he was correct, and he was. The closet must have been fully stocked to equip an army with clothing, not just a single person. There were dozens of Azu Junin flak jackets hanging on the coat rack. The deep crimson color was a contrast to the other major nations' color schemes. Naruto quickly went over and took one for himself, looking over the design and comparing it to Kiri and Konoha's. It provided 2 scroll pockets on either side with smaller equipment pouches at its hips. It provided no end protection with an extended turtleneck like his Kiri one did. However, it provided extra arm protection with a scale-like metal armor that extended from the shoulder to the elbow. All in all, Naruto liked it, and while it was slightly heavier with the extra armor, it provided durability with increased protection to the user. He zipped it up around him and exited the closet to find Mei inside and exploring the room as he had done. Mayheim, this closet is stocked with Azu clothing. Why don't you change out of that so we can wash it? It'll give you a chance to try on something that is a bit more folksy. Mei turned to look at him and widened her eyes at his new look. He looked exactly like a Junin of Azu. Narukoi, that sounds like a wonderful idea. I think I will permanently wear our traditional clothing from now on. It is much more comfortable in this tropical climate anyway. She began to walk to the closet but slowed to a crawl as she passed him, allowing her nimble fingers to fleet across his cheek. And I must say, you look so empowering in that Azu shinobi outfit. I can't wait until we find some cage robes to put you in. Naruto shivered at her touch as she giggled and walked into the closet to change. Cage robes, huh? Guess I'll go look in the other rooms since I have already checked here. Naruto headed out of the room and went across the hall to find the other room. It too was decorated to signify importance. Naruto attempted to open it but found it locked and unable to budge. He attempted to break it down only to be forcefully repulsed when the door glowed a bright red and a ghostly image of an Azu symbol appeared over the door like a shield. Brushing himself off the ground, Naruto carefully inspected the door for a better way to get inside. There is a doorknob, Azu symbol, no traps other than this shield seal and no secret tiles to press. Naruto continued to observe until he noticed how the Azu symbol lit up while the shield was active. Curious, Naruto placed his hand over the symbol to see if it was giving off heat but was rewarded with a click of a bolt and the door coming unhinged. The blonde looked at his hand curiously but could only guess that his fingerprint was what allowed him to get inside. He peered into the room to find it pitch black. There were no windows or sources of light of any kind. Stepping within the room, Naruto gulped as he heard the door shut behind him and bathed him in darkness. A single light came on within the dark sarcophagus-like place. A wall had been illuminated on the far side of the room. Having no other direction to head towards, Naruto moved to the wall and inspected it for anything out of the ordinary. He once again found the strange writing written on the wall and could only guess that it was an ancient language utilized by the Uzumaki before their induction into Kiri. There once again also happened to be an Azu symbol on the wall, so Naruto pressed it and was rewarded with a flash of light, illuminating the entire room and temporarily blinding him. Naruto moved his arms up to cover his hurt eyes and slowly blinked the pain away as the room returned to darkness save for the wall in front of him. He read the wall again to find that he could now understand the strange language, or at least he could read it. The riddle posed before him made it difficult to grasp the concept. Many have tried to obtain the treasure of ancestors, yet all have failed. Those who have come before this sarcophagi have all yielded to its guardian of infinite riddle. What could you do to solve it? If you answer incorrect, the reward to future generations will once again be sealed until one can be found worthy centuries from now. Will you be the first to accomplish the feat? Or will you be the latest failure to read the riddle? What humans fight for, the epitome of war and ultimately the victory all wish for. The prize at the end of the tunnel, the basest craving of any who come into being of this world. What is it that humans seek but yet cannot attain alone? Naruto read the riddle before him and considered his options carefully. If he failed, the treasure would be locked away for many centuries. What was apparently inside this sarcophagi could turn the war in their favor, or it could lead to their ultimate downfall. What is it that humans want but cannot, or at least have not yet achieved? Power, territory, life, love. No, that isn't it. Those are all guesses that I'm sure have been made. Naruto continued to ponder the riddle and thought what he wanted in all the world. A loving wife, a large family, a house where we can live together and no war to get in our way. Wait. War. The epitome of war. The end result that everyone wishes for. Peace. It hit Naruto like a ton of bricks. In the end, everyone always wanted peace. No matter what their methods, in the end any who go to war want peace at the end of the conflict. True peace had never been attained because humans never united under a single banner, they were alone amongst each other. The answer to your riddle is, peace. Naruto spoke loudly, his voice bounced across the walls and reverberated back into his ears. Nothing happened for many long moments, causing Naruto to fear that he had been incorrect after all. After a full minute, the glyphs began to glow a bright red and illuminated the room without the lights, casting a red sheen over the small area. Naruto saw that the writing shifted into a new phrase in response to his answer. His heartbeat skyrocketed with hope that he had been correct. What is your name? Naruto. Naruto Uzumaki. The writing paused before shifting again. The light show dimmed again to allow Naruto to read the final words. Naruto Uzumaki, you are the first of any Uzumaki or man to successfully answer this question posed. Those before answered with your original thoughts, power, respect, and more conflict. The previous generations were blinded from the true answer, but it seems as though you have finally been shown the true path to world peace. Within this room lies a few treasured gifts left behind by the first generations of Uzumaki, before the village had ever been created. Those times were simple, yet the people had great foresight, able to see with their own eyes the world uniting under separate banners to fight one another. In their haste to protect their secrets and innovations, the Uzumaki left behind some of their oldest and most treasured secrets beneath the ground of this place. A trapdoor behind you will lead you to your rightful heritage. Take what information is stored there and use it to protect your people and lead the world to peace. Goodbye Naruto Uzumaki, child of prophecy. Naruto's eyes widened, he was part of a prophecy. Wait, at least tell me who you are. He thought that the writing would disregard him, but instead it obliged him with a final line of writing. My name has been lost to the time, think of me as the guardian of the vault that you have rightly held the honor of opening. The lighting dimmed for the last time and Naruto heard a series of pops and clicks and turned around to see the hallway door swing open and reveal his way out. He looked at the ground and saw that a trapdoor had materialized, the path down to the vault. He leaned down and took the old stone handle of the trapdoor and pulled it up to reveal a very small passage that led down to the underground. It would be a tight fit as he moved down with the ladder, but he decided to go on down anyway. I wonder what could be down here. Naruto thought as he descended into darkness to find his latest inheritance from his ancestors. The trip took him 5 minutes to reach the extremely small room that apparently held treasure of some sort. As he set his feet down on solid ground, he heard a sickening cracking sound bounce across the walls and return to him. He looked down at his feet to find bones, enough to be at least 3 people to have in the place below. They must have been charged with putting the relics in and then guarding them until the death, poor guys. Naruto silently mourned their loss as he traversed a few feet to find a single sea on a pedestal. It was relatively large but was definitely many centuries old. It was wooden with small details of gold along its edges. Instead of a keyhole, an Azu symbol took the place of the lock. This one was too small for Naruto to fit his hand onto. He merely placed a finger onto the small button and watched in amazement as it lit up before a clicking sound could be heard. Naruto watched with barely contained anxiousness as the sea lid slowly rose to reveal what was inside. Naruto had been watching so intently that he hadn't counted on the dust to fly out and hit him in the eyes, causing him to shriek in pain and rub the dust out. Clearing up his viewing devices, Naruto once again peered inside and gaped at what he saw. An age-old outfit made centuries before lay untouched and unblemished, not looking a day older than since its day of creation. My god, it's a cage outfit. Naruto slowly took the clothing out, careful not to grip it offensively lest it disappear in his arms. He held it up to see and heard a light clack on the floor to find that his action had undone the cage hat that had been tied loosely to the outfit's waist. Naruto took in many deep breaths on the verge of hyperventilating at his discovery. Sure, the people had referred to him as the Shodai Azuki and he had accepted his fate as such by now, but to hold a cage outfit in his hands was another story. It truly laid the realization of his new position on him. The outfit was just as much of a symbol of power as it was a symbol of office. His hand slightly quivered as he looked over the relatively familiar design, save for the colors. The main part of the robe was white, just like any cage's. However, the place where the village colors were placed on the sea was a deep black. Naruto always thought of himself becoming the Hokage and having the color be red, but for some reason he smiled in appreciation to the plain yet striking jet black color of night that adorned the cage outfit. With trembling appendages, Naruto slowly fitted the loose robe over his clothing and wore it with pride as he found it to be a perfect fit. He bent down and picked up the hat to find it even more striking than the robe itself, truly made for an Uzumaki cage. The village color was once again a deep black, taking up almost the entire top of the hat save for where the village kanji would be written. Instead of the kanji for Uzumaki, the Uzumaki swirl adorned the small blank space, the deep red contrasting the dominant black with a pure beauty to it. Naruto placed the cage hat over his head and tied the robe to completely cover his underclothing, leaving him in a full-fledged cage outfit. Wait until May sees this. But wait, this can't be all of the treasure, right? Naruto moved back to the sea and found 2 scrolls which had not withstood the test of time as well as the cage robes. The wrinkly yellow paper felt brittle to the touch yet held together surprisingly well as Naruto stowed one scroll away within his robe and read what the scroll contained. These are some of the most ancient jutsu of the Uzumaki and of the world over. Secret Art, Jinchuriki Sealing, Boil Release, Mist Maelstrom, Secret Art, Tailed Beast Control, there is so much more as well. These secrets have been coveted for so long, now I am faced with a choice. Keep them and strengthen the Uzumaki or share them with the world to further promote peace. I must think on this. Naruto stowed that scroll away and hesitated when going to grab the second scroll from his pocket. he decided to read it later. He slowly closed the sea and made his way back up the ladder, albeit more slowly with the bulky robes that clung to his feet. As he neared the trap door, Naruto could hear faint cries of alarm from his fiancée, no doubt worried about his sudden disappearance. Naruto got out of the narrow passage and closed the door before leaving the room entirely. As soon as he entered the long hallway of the second floor, he was tackled by an irate Mei. He had not answered her when she called for him and then made her worry with his sudden disappearance. There you are. All right, Mr. Uzumaki, you have a lot of. Mei quieted down as she noticed just what he was wearing. The white and black robes made her think of her days as the Mizukage. Naruto, this is a cage robe. Where did you get it? Naruto got up off the ground and lifted her up as well, taking in her new out-of-fold outfit. She now wore the same Azu uniform he had seen in his mother's belongings. She wore what was a standard Azu woman battle outfit, a red robe-like uniform that could only cover her torso and a single long sleeve covered her left arm while the right was completely revealed. Her legs were barely covered at all with pink shorts that reached only to her mid-thigh, her feet were covered in regal sandals. Fuka's uniform from Shippuden filler arc. You don't look too bad yourself, Mei. She blushed at his compliment and smoothed out her new dress as he continued to stare. Seriously though, Naruto, where did you find this? It's amazing. She felt the fabric and could feel pure silk. It was much nicer than her old cage robes. It is a gift of inheritance from our ancestors and that is all I will say. I like it too though, there are so many hidden seals on the thing though I got a headache trying to figure out what all they could do. Mei looked closer and could see almost invisible writing covering the fabric. She could only guess them to enhance the wearer in battle. We must show the people, but first let me show you what I found. Mei took his hand and brought him back into their new room. She led him over to the desk where she had left two oddly shaped weapons that Naruto had never seen before. Mei smirked at his bewilderment and quickly picked up one of the blades, twirling it in the air with practiced ease as her fiancé watched in wonder. These are called scimitars, a curved blade that has been wielded uniquely by the Uzumaki for centuries. I found them hidden away within a scroll that was in the closet. There are various other weapons stored there as well. My father used these weapons back in Kiri to teach me swordplay and I must say modestly that I am quite experienced with them. Naruto smiled and pecked her lips in the moment of pride he had for the woman in front of him. She was so beautiful and graceful even as she held a weapon. Well, all that remains is for me to find a suitable place for you in the ninja ranking system, huh? Let's see, I would place you as a Junin but you deserve higher. Naruto was stopped from his thinking when Mei placed both hands on his cheeks and brought him in for AK. Mei leaned back with a smile as she looked into his dazed blue eyes with her own emerald ones. I am fine with Junin, Naruto, besides, you wouldn't want me to have too much power. I am pregnant and will soon be expecting, so I think it's best if you give me a position where no one will expect much from me. Naruto nodded at her conclusion to this and looked at her waist to see an Azu headband fitted snugly around her hips as if it was a belt. That makes 2 official Azu shinobi enlisted. Now I just need a few hundred more and we are all set. He thought with a grimace. He really didn't want to draft anyone but he needed a quick boost in numbers for the war. Mei, you said that there were more weapons in the closet. I am beginning to think that this place is a storage warehouse instead of an estate. It seems like there is everything we need to start Azugaku back up in our closet. Mei smiled and walked over to the balcony that connected to their room. It gave an unparalleled view of the entire city with the mountain their estate had been placed on. Naruto joined her and placed an arm around her waist as they observed the city that was already bustling with activity. People conversed throughout the streets and within the compounds. Kiri shinobi aimlessly patrolled the borders of the hidden village unsure of what else to do. Without any real wall other than a small stone barrier that barely stood over 8 feet tall, the rainforest that surrounded the village was clearly visible with its teeming wildlife. It is so beautiful, isn't it, Narukoi? Naruto hugged her tighter and nodded his head, staying silent as they watched over their people. Yes it is. 000. 1 week later, Azugaku. Newly formed, Shinobi District. Naruto and Mei stood before a large assembly of citizens and shinobi where he had asked everyone to meet for a groundbreaking ceremony. The location was to be held in the area of the city Naruto had declared to be the Shinobi District where all shinobi living quarters and shops would be located. The The ceremony was to both reveal this new district to the citizenry and to serve as the jumpstart in recruitment for Azu's military force. People of Azu, it brings me great honor to announce today that we are now taking the first step in protecting this village from the many threats outside of our walls. Our loyal shinobi that have decided to stay with us from Kiri now have a place to live here while they wait for Kiri to be liberated. New jobs for all civilians are now available as we will begin to trade with the other major nations and receive resources and materials to create, buy, and sell. But I must ask now, how much longer will it be before Azu creates its own shinobi corps? The people looked amongst one another for the answer to their Azukage's question, sometimes taking glances at the previous Mizukage or the Kiri shinobi standing behind them. We need to begin recruiting. I want to join. Me too. I want to protect my family and my village. A loud uproar was heard after the statements were announced. The people cheered in patriotic fervor over getting to protect their new home. Naruto smiled and held up his hands for quiet. He allowed the people to settle down before continuing. I'm glad that there is no short supply of volunteers for the Azu Shinobi Corps, because I hope that one day we will rival the great elemental nations in strength. With our drive we can accomplish anything we set our minds to. Now I have some more good news for you all. It appears as though our Kiri friends have decided to join Azu's shinobi force. Let us welcome them. The Kiri shinobi came from behind the platform and up on roofs to stand before the Azukage. Ao and Chojuro were at the front of the line and stood facing the Shodai Azukage and his fiancée with smiles on their faces. Slowly, the two began to kneel as did the other Kiri shinobi in a sign of allegiance to the Azu people instead of Kiri. Naruto watched with a neutral face as they slowly took their headbands off and hesitantly put them away. He remembered having the same feeling over a week ago back in the Uzumaki estate when he officially changed his loyalties. We submit to your command, Azukage-sama. Ao announced where a large cheer rose from the people for the Kiri shinobi now becoming Azu. Naruto turned to Mei and she smiled at him before picking up a large box and handing it to him. Naruto set it down next to his feet and took out one of the objects held within, a red Azu headband. He moved over to Ao, slowly to more accentuate the emotional feelings that the ceremony was supposed to bring out. Ao watched as Naruto came up to him with his new headband and smiled when Naruto tied the piece of cloth around his head. The crowd once again erupted into a bout of cheering and applause as the first Kiri shinobi officially switched over to Azu and Naruto repeated the same process for Chojuro. The remaining shinobi were each handed a headband personally by Naruto or Mei and each were given the honorary rank of Chunin or Junin for their loyal service in the rebellion and their willing overturn of allegiance to Azu. Naruto looked out amongst the audience as the new Azu shinobi messed with their new forehead protectors and vests. They were getting used to the new look. He saw many young children and even some academy-aged boys and girls looking at them in wonder, hoping that they could be like a ninja someday. For those amongst my civilian gathering here who are willing to take up arms as a shinobi, please come forward now. There was no movement at first, the people wondering who would be the first to take a giant plunge. A man, in his mid-30s, came forward and bowed before his Azukage. Naruto could tell from the red hair and grey eyes that the man was an Uzumaki and he could only guess that he also contained an active bloodline. I wish to join these brave shinobi here, Azukage-sama. Naruto and Mei looked at one another and smiled when a large procession of men and even women came forward to kneel before them. They began the process again of handing out the available headbands and allowed the citizens to return to their families. Those who have just come forward are not yet officially shinobi under my command. As you all know, shinobi aspirants must take tests to see if they have what it takes to join the ninja ranks. My confidence in you does not waver though, because I have handed out each and every one of you a headband. This shows that I believe in my heart that every one of you will pass the test. A resounding cheer was heard for Naruto's confident speech in his people, even Mei joined in the applause. To finish this assembly, I have two final things to say. Thanks to the existing shinobi that have integrated from Azu, we now have sufficient staff for a shinobi academy to be opened. Construction has already begun and when it is completed, you may have the privilege of sending your children who wish to learn the shinobi arts there. Of course, none of you have to send your children if you do not wish to. Naruto watched the crowd and especially the children for signs of reaction. The general populace seemed pleased with such progress and many of the children looked even more excited to learn in an academy. My final announcement is actually a request. While our small nation is too small to have a true daimyo in charge, at least for now, I do wish to set up a civilian arm of government. They will handle the job of eventually receiving and sending mission contracts here to Azu and to maintain the citizenry of Azu's needs and rights. They will serve as my advisors when it comes to any matters concerning the civilians of Azu Island. If you are interested in the position and believe you have what it takes, please come see me in the Uzumaki compound. And with that, Naruto moved to Mei and enveloped her in his arms before flashing away. 000. Kumogakur. Raikage's office. Sat on his couch as he crudely wrote a message on a scroll for the next cage meeting to be held. It had been over 2 weeks since the summit and he decided that it was time to organize the 5 villages shinobi force. His assistant was handed the note and left to rewrite it in a more neat handwriting and to make copies of it. Almost time. Akatsuki's days are numbered. Suddenly, a Kumo shinobi rushed into the room after practically busting the doors down. He was huffing from exhaustion and out of breath but was still able to kneel before his cage. Grimaced at the interruption and yelled out an order so he could hear the reasoning behind his intrusion. Sir, I have grave news from the border patrols. An Akatsuki has been sighted moving rapidly through the Valley of Thunder and Lightning. A's eyes widened to the point where the veins could be seen. That was the area where his brother trained. B is in trouble. Damn it. Move 4 cells to support my brother. I don't care if you have to send a battalion, but do not allow him to take B. The man saluted and made his way out the door to begin the preparations. 000. Kirigakure. Unknown location. Resistance headquarters. Miro Rotoda sat in a chair reading over a message that had just been intercepted. The resistance movement had done little in the time between the rebellion and now, but Miro thanked Kami that they were there to take this message. With the Rokudai Mizukage Madara Uchiha in charge, if the message had been received by him, then he could have laid a trap for the cage. He sent for one of his shinobi runners and had them deliver the message to Azu Island. I only hope he gets there in time. 000. A few days later. Azugakure. Uzumaki compound. Naruto and Mei sat next to one another in Naruto's study. The man was hesitant for a second because he had planned on handing it over to Mei, but the impatient look in Naruto's eyes meant that time was of the essence. He dug into his pocket and handed Naruto a small scroll with the addressee name of the Mizukage written on it. He unfurled the message and read its contents. To the Mizukage of Kirigakure, Mei Terumi. Mizukage, the Raikage has requested your presence in Kumogakure to hold the first War Council meeting for the 5 Village Alliance. All other Kage have been notified and all that is required of you is to come to the meeting, to which will be held in 1 week. Please bring 1 bodyguard. Naruto finished reading the message and nodded, satisfied with the turn of events. He nodded again in thanks to the 3 men before him and dismissed them before heading back inside to the estate. He was welcomed by the arms of his fiancée and wrapped his own arms around her, giving in to the Kei she wanted so bad. Mei broke their lip lock to ask what was the commotion at the gate. Naruto, what did they want? The blonde took the message back out and handed it to her, allowing her to read the message to be sent to her. Her expression did not change and she merely looked up from the message with a serious gaze into his eyes. It was now time for Naruto to take up her place in the alliance as the Azukage, and he now had to make the big decisions for a nation. Who will you take? Naruto smirked and pointed at her, bringing her to widen her eyes in curiosity. You. Mayheim. I need you to come along to help explain the events that have led up to our leaving of Kiri and the creation of Azu, and your voucher of my place as the Azukage. I will be seen with more skepticism than Gaara the Kazekage has been viewed with. Mei nodded to his conclusion. They were sound reasons that she had not first thought of. I expected him to pick Ao or Chojuro. She absently thought in response to his choice. We will begin packing in a few days and prepare for our departure. I do not wish to leave the village so soon after its fragile creation, but this is important to us. It will not only bring world recognition to our new country but also give us a chance to develop trade contracts with the major nations. Mei smiled at his analysis. Naruto was already thinking like a nation's leader. Speaking of which, I have a few ideas I would like to run by you and Ao. They are additional ranks and such within our organization of the shinobi forces. With our particularly unique shinobi composition, we need to accommodate with a unique command structure as well. Mei nodded and watched as Naruto summoned a messenger to fetch him Ao. He is truly a great leader. She thought as she moved a hand to her stomach. A noticeable bulge had begun to show over her stomach. She smiled. And he will become a great father as well. 000. Done. Now for a little information about Azugakure and how it will rank up to the other nations as far as like official ratings and stuff. I will also detail what the Hayo and Ranmaru clans' bloodlines are because I'm sure you are all confused or curious about that. I am also working on a simple map that will detail what Azugakure is shaped like, but I will definitely continue to describe it so the map isn't necessary. Otherwise, this is the chapter you want to review or PM me about if you have any questions about the Uzumaki or Azugakure. All the following village information is from the Naruto databooks, I did not make this up. These are out of 5 stars. Konohagakure. Population, 5 stars. Military strength, 3 stars. Economic strength, 2 stars. Sunagakure. Population, 2 stars. Military strength, 2 stars. Economic strength, 2 stars. Kumogakure. Population, 3 stars. Military strength, 4 stars. Economic strength, 5 stars. Awagakure. Population, 4 stars. Military strength, 4 stars. Economic strength, 2 stars. Kirigakure. Population, 2 stars. Military strength, 3 stars. Economic strength, 2 stars. Azugakure, by the end of this arc, this of course is my estimate of its power, I will be fair. Population, 2 stars. Military strength, 4 stars. Economic strength, 3 stars. 000. Hayo clan. Traits, black or dark brown hair. Blue or black eye color. No distinguishing traits to indicate bloodline. The Hayo clan are the infamous clan that Haku hails from. This is not the actual clan name because there is no clan name for it. Hyoten is ice element in Japanese, so I just took the Hayo from it because Haku's clan could use ice. These clansmen can harness the power of water and wind to form ice, a rare elemental nature not found on the mainland and only on 2 separate islands in the elemental nation continent. Ranmaru clan. Traits, gray, silver, or violet hair. Hazel or amber eye color. Iris and pupil of eye change to red when bloodline active. The bloodline clan name is totally fictional and the character technically is too because he was part of an anime filler arc. However, I thought since he was once in Kiri that it would make sense to integrate it. The bloodline is basically an enhanced version of Byakugan. It can see through walls, allow the use of genjutsu with the will of the user, and even see the life force of human being to see what ails them. There are many other more vague abilities that are not fully described but might be implemented. 000. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.